Okay, this is 1 week in, and as you can see, you can start seeing my veins. It's not as puffy. The foot is not as puffy as it was before. So you can actually see the veins, and you can see a little bit of the muscle pulling there. My range of motion has gotten a lot better. I can almost pull back to 90 degrees. That's where I am now. And my toes, I can wiggle the first three, and the fourth one kind of goes with it a little bit, but not totally yet. I'm going to go over some quick exercises because you are not completely crippled. You can't walk, obviously, but your upper body still works. So if you get yourself a stool like I have, you can stand perfectly straight and you can do any arm exercises that you want to do. You can do dumbbells, you can do twists, you can do shrugs, you can do whatever you want. You can even do like the girl push-ups. So putting your knees on the ground like this and doing push-ups that way is fine. Even if you collapse at the end, your feet are off the ground, so your feet are not going to take any sort of blow from the fall. You're not going to get yourself re-injured. You can do these where you get back up and down like that. There's all kinds of different exercises that you can still do for your body. So don't feel upset about being stuck in the house or whatnot. You can still stay fit. This leg obviously is not going to be very fit after your 6 months of non-use. This muscle here, but your other muscles, your thigh muscle of course can. You can still do crunches, right? You can still do leg lifts like this. You can do bicycles, and that's a lot of what I do is the bicycle movements like this. And just to make sure that all the bones are still working in there. Rotating the foot around helps out a lot. Some of the exercises that they have me doing is things like this, where, okay, so I have to take my foot and pull it back like this, hold for 5 seconds, and then let it go forward again, because the natural state for the foot is going to be this pointy toe thing. And then if you're stuck like that, these muscles are going to atrophy, so that's kind of bad. I do have a walking boot which I wear for at least 3 or 4 hours a day, which pushes my foot into a 90-degree angle, and that does help out a lot with keeping this stretched and keeping the feet the way that they're supposed to be, so I don't end up with this kind of pointy toe footy thing. So anyway, this is week 2. I will be 2 weeks out from surgery in 2 days. I am 2 weeks out from the injury right now. And again, this was a shaft fracture of the 5th metatarsal, which is the pinky bone. So I can wiggle my toes slightly like that. And that again is another exercise that I'm supposed to do. I am not supposed to be putting any weight on the foot at all. My foot is supposed to be elevated pretty much at all times, which obviously right now it's not. But you can see that a lot of the swelling has gone down. So before, my ankle, everything was all puffy, and now it's gone down a lot. And I don't bruise, so you're not going to see any purple in there. The only puffiness that's left really is underneath somewhere, because when I place my feet on the ground next to each other, this foot, the toes touch the ground. This one, you can see there's still some distance for the toes still haven't made it to the ground. I'm not putting any weight on this foot, but it's just to show that this part here is still a little puffy. So the exercises that I'm told to do are just pull back, push forward, pull back, push forward. And I'm supposed to do this once every hour or 2 hours. I'm supposed to do it about 20 times each time. And then I'm supposed to flex my toes. Again, this is 15 to 20 times, as much as you can stand. And that is basically just to keep the bones from growing together in the foot and to keep the foot from getting completely atrophied. Now I'm also supposed to do slight rotations. Now the rotations are a little bit more complicated because they will use the bone in the fifth metatarsal more than the other motions will. So I do really small rotations. I don't do anything that's really big, and I only do 5 of those instead of doing 20 like everything else because I don't want to aggravate the injury. But this is basically what I'm doing on week 2. So exactly 2 weeks after my operation, I can sit with my foot fairly level and it doesn't start swelling. So before I had to have it always propped up on at least 1 pillow and sometimes 2 to keep it from swelling, but now I can actually keep it level and I no longer have any swelling or thickening of the foot at all. If I put it low on the ground, it takes a little while for it to actually start to feel like it's getting kind of tingly and thick and kind of swollen, but it doesn't swell nearly to the amount that it used to swell to, so that's good. After about 10 days, my icing normally consists of just kind of lightly stepping on the ice pack so that the bottom of my foot gets less swelling, because all the top part, all up here, the swelling's all gone. Alright, we're nearing the end of week 3 and I can wiggle most of my toes here. So you can see even the 4th one is joining in now, which is a good sign. And I can do a little bit of pinky toe movement. Also, my movement for this is almost natural now. I could easily move my foot forward and back. The biggest problem I have right now is my calf feels super sloppy. You can see there's like all kinds of extra skin here. The muscle on in here is just dying, so this feels almost like an empty bag. I feel really sad about that, and there's no way to work that out because that muscle is the pushing muscle this way, so I can't figure a way to keep this muscle nice and solid. So I am going to lose some muscle over the course of this injury. So most of the day when I'm sitting, I keep my foot like this. Keep it propped up against a pillow with most of the weight on the big toe area so that it pushes my foot back naturally. It lets it have more of a 90-degree angle, because I find that if I just sit my foot on top of the pillow like this, my foot will slowly bend forward like that. And when I sleep, my foot goes into this position. And then it becomes harder for me to actually pull it back. So to make sure that my foot is properly stretched, I'm putting the weight mostly on the big toe area because it's the little toe that's broken. And so I just let a little bit of weight on there. Not too much, I'm not forcing it or anything. You can see I'm sitting with it on my other foot here. So that helps out a lot. There's the cat. So that helps out a lot with keeping my foot stretched and in the proper position. Okay, so this is week 4, and you can see that my feet, well, this one's a little bit swollen still. It's because it's on the ground. So after being on the ground for, say, 10 minutes or so, it starts to turn a little bit more red than the other foot. Ignore this. This is Cat's running around in the middle of the night, and she scratched my foot. But right now, what you can see is that this foot here it stops the piece of paper, right? And this foot here also stops the piece of paper. A week ago, this was up like that, and I could go all the way through to the ball of my foot. One thing that I would warn against is my pinky toe is going underneath a little bit here. So what I've been trying to do is at night I've been taking a piece of paper and sticking it in between these two toes so that it pushes this toe out a little bit more. I am also noticing, you can see how thick my middle toe has gotten. So I don't know if that is bone growth or what. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a lot more flexible movement of each of the toe joints just to make sure that none of these joints are getting calcified. So this, I think, is probably very important to make sure that you still have all the flexibility in your other toes. Even though the injury was over here, your body will have a tendency to heal the whole area. Wherever the swelling goes, the healing goes. So I'm trying to get as much flow as possible into each of the joints. I can move my toes a lot better than I did before. My foot rotations are looking good. Well, as far as this rotation goes, doing the round one is getting a lot bigger, and I can go in both directions. I can pull both of my feet back fairly well. You can see the toes don't go back on their own right now, so what I've been doing is I've been helping them by pulling on them. I don't pull on the pinky, I just pull on the other toes so that it's not going to injure that joint again. So this is week 4. Okay. Oh, and I've been getting a lot of tingling feeling over here in the area of the cut and down the middle of my foot where the tendons go. And I think that that's because it's healing up, and the new skin has got to get new nerves in there. So whenever I'm resting, I'm always resting with my foot slightly pressed against something, so there is some pressure on the ball of the foot slightly, and that will allow my toes to spread a little bit, and it does allow me to move my toe joints without having to worry about the metatarsals moving so much. For exercises, I got this app called Boxing Timer, and you can set it for whatever you want. I set it for 20 seconds, and then you just press it and it starts going, and it'll count down, and after 20 seconds it will do another 20 seconds, and so it's just round after round of 20-second intervals. And what I do is, for my exercises, start off on my back, and I do leg lifts for 20 seconds, then I do bicycles forward for 20 seconds, then I do bicycles backwards for 20 seconds, and then I concentrate on this leg here. So I do rotations for 20 seconds, other way rotation for 20 seconds, then these extensions for 20 seconds, then rotations clockwise, rotations counterclockwise. Then I practice pulling my toes forward and backwards for 20 seconds. Right? Then you can switch over. Now, what's important here is that your foot hangs off the edge of the bed. So when you're doing the exercises, your foot is going to be like this. It's going to be hanging off the edge of the bed, so there's no pressure at all on your foot. You do not want your foot like this, because then you're going to be putting weight on the injury. Okay? So you have the foot hanging off the side of the bed. With your foot hanging off the side of the bed, do opposite leg, opposite hand, like this. Again, 20 seconds. Then this way, 20 seconds. Then you can add in these motions for 20 seconds on each hand. You can also put your feet up near your butt and do wide push-ups, and then you can do narrow push-ups with your elbows in close. So all of these are good exercises for trying to keep your core nice and solid while your foot is healing up. And sitting down all day, you are going to get a gut. You are going to start feeling it in here. Your legs will get a little bit big and heavy. So you want to do as much exercises as you can for all the different body parts. I changed my exercises as well, so I'm still doing these where I'm doing the grippy toes thing, but what I added in there was this. So now I'm raising my foot up and then squeezing, raising my foot up and trying to pull my toes back a little bit here, adding a little bit of pressure on the toes. Not on the injury toe so much, maybe a little bit, but not much. I'm doing it mostly with the other toes. And then letting the foot slap down a little bit. So I'm adding a little bit of impact just on the bottom of the foot here, because that part there is getting really soft and it feels kind of strange. So I'm doing grip and then pull up and hold this for 20 seconds and then put it down and grip, grip, grip. Do this 10 times. And then pull up again, hold for 20 seconds. So this is what I've been doing so that my foot has its full flexibility and I'm keeping the strength in my ankle as much as possible. I am noticing a huge improvement in a lot of stuff. I still have this weird kind of cardboard feeling up here in the ball of the foot. Not sure what that is. I think that's still residue of the swelling that's in there. And when I stretch my foot back, like when I really pull my foot back, it feels like soda is the best I can explain. It feels like little bubbling going up in there, and I think that's just the skin stretching around a little bit. So, but anyway, I went to the doctor, and the doctor said that I'm healing a lot faster than he expected, and he's got me walking now. So now I have to use 2 crutches, and I'm using 2 crutches to support this one foot. I'm using, because when you walk, your feet are 100% on one foot and then 100% on the other foot, and he doesn't want 100% of weight on this foot. So I'm putting 2 crutches down while I step with this foot, so the maximum amount of weight that I'm putting on this foot is like 20 or 30% pressure. He doesn't want anything more than that, but he does want me to start smacking the foot down a little bit, and that'll let this toe spread out some more, because this toe is actually curling under because it's not being pressed on at all. And so he wants 1 week of 30%, and then I can progress to one crutch and like 50% on this foot. So that's the goal, is to get back to 100% and be able to run and jump and do everything. So week 4 has been a huge leap forward, but there is an issue with using the crutches and walking on the foot. Now I have to actually keep my foot raised. The biggest issue with using the crutches again and actually putting weight on the foot and walking on the foot is that because the foot is being used and because the foot is so low, my foot is swelling a lot more now than it was last week. So you have to switch your elevation that you're doing. So instead of, whereas before I could sit like this with my foot partially elevated, still lower than my heart, and play video games or talk or eat or whatnot. Now when I'm sitting down, my foot is up here. It's way higher. So my foot is being used more, but when I rest, it has to be much higher to compensate for it, to let the swelling go back down. Every time I get done walking, I walk for 5 minutes back and forth across the room, and that's with the crutches and barefoot. And if I go outside, of course, I have the shoe, and I can do that for an extended amount of time because it's not putting as much pressure on the toe area. It is only putting pressure on the heel. Right? So, also showering. I'm now allowed to shower without the plastic bag on my foot, so my foot can actually get proper washing and everything. You can see the steri strips still haven't come off on their own, but the doctor said just leave them on there and they'll fall off. Don't pull them off. Just let it heal up. So now no plastic bag, full showering, everything is good to go.
What you're going to do is you're going to take your injured foot and the 2 crutches and put them forward. So at the same time that the crutches land your injured foot lands, and then you take your other step, and then you do this again, and then that. So everything is moving at the same time. So you're spreading the weight of your step over 3 pieces. So you have 2 crutches and your foot all landing at the same time every time you step.